Good morning, President Taylor and members of the board. It's really a pleasure to be back in the Calpers headquarters buildings for our board meetings this month. We've enjoyed seeing people in the hallways again. All of our team came back on March 1 in their new hybrid schedules. Hybrid meaning 3 days in the office, 2 days remote, other than our contact center, who has been designated, their positions have been designated as full-time remote. However, we have really adopted this idea of flexibility, and so even though their positions have been designated as 100% remote, they do have the choice on whether they want to work part-time in the office as well. I don't yet have the numbers of those who are working full-time remote versus hybrid out of the contact center, but I can share that with you as things start really settling in. We just started our return on March 1. Internally, we're calling this the Calpers Comeback. It's a theme that was created by our public affairs team. And we all have to remember that in the last 2 years, we've hired about 400 new team members at Calpers. And they are really unaware of the Calpers culture and some of our ways and the way that we interact with one another. So I think that's been a very successful campaign. Again, welcoming people back, reminding them about parking and all of the other protocols that we have here at Calpers, including some increased security measures that we've had to put in place within the last 2 years. We also, as Anthony indicated, we did reopen all of our regional locations on March 1 to help our members with their retirement needs. Any members who would really like to schedule an appointment can do so through their My Calpers account, or they can do that through our contact center. We have been offering in-person or remote appointments, and I think the last update I got from Anthony is it's about a 70-30 split. So for the past 2 years, I think our teams have continually been able to meet our customers' needs. Again, that's phone, virtual appointments, helping one another in the back office to service those front office appointments. We've also hosted several educational events to help our members better understand the benefits that they've earned through their public career. And then, again, those virtual options, we believe, have been so successful that we want to continue to offer those in the future as a service opportunity. And we'll track the uptake on that service, and we'll make some decisions around our regional locations as those measurements continue to mature. As many of you know, we did announce the appointment of our new Chief Investment Officer, Nicole Musico, to our team. We've had a chance to really share some of her background. You probably have seen some of the media. We did a little bit of a media blitz with her early on just to get people introduced to her background, her career, what really she has to offer to this position, and why she was the person for Calpers. Nicole will start officially with us on March 28th. Which is just right around the corner. And so as we greet a new team member, we're also saying goodbye to another, Christian Farland, our Chief Information Officer, will be retiring on June 1st, and his last day in the office will be April 15th. Christian has been serving our members in his current role since 2018, but has been a Calpers team member for over 20 years, starting here in 2002. Christian and his team did a remarkable job during the pandemic, within 48 hours, transitioning everyone from full-time office work to full-time remote work. The systems didn't miss a beat. His team was able to get all of the equipment that we needed for our team to be successful remotely, and he did all of this with a smile and a great sense of humor that we all have come to really enjoy. Christian is very well liked by his peers and by the organization, and we will miss him greatly. And personally, it's just been a pleasure to have him work on the executive team with us. It's really where we've been able to identify this quirky sense of humor that he has that we all, again, very much enjoy. So I'd like to just give a round of applause for Christian if we could. And I didn't mean quirky in a good way. Moving on to some current business, as you all are aware, the crisis in the Ukraine continues and really has been dominating the headlines for the past few weeks. And we had a lengthy discussion and an interesting panel conversation on Monday about the impacts to our investments. First and foremost, on behalf of Calpers, I want to express our solidarity with the Ukrainian people who are suffering in the midst of this attack from Russia. While our investments in Russia represent an extremely small portion of the total fund, we continue to assess our options and follow all federal sanctions and directives from the United States Office of Foreign Asset Controls. Earlier this week, the ALM process for our affiliate funds, this will conclude our 4-year asset liability management cycle with the selection of the discount rate and the asset allocation for those affiliate funds. As we have throughout the ALM process, we have made stakeholder communications a high priority and hosted another webinar last week. That one was equally well attended by about 220 employers. I know that many of our stakeholders are eager to learn how the new portfolio decisions that were made back in November on the PERF will be implemented and will be coming to the board from now through June on how we will implement and execute on that new strategic asset allocation. Speaking of stakeholders, we're currently in the midst of our annual stakeholder survey. This is a perception survey, which went out to a variety of Calpers stakeholder groups, including our active members, our retired members, and our inactive members, as well as employers and leaders of stakeholder organizations. We did extend the return date on that survey just to get a little higher participation rate. We don't tend to get a very high participation rate, but it is important that we try to get something that is actionable from the results and from the feedback that we're getting from our stakeholders. So it does measure the perception of the stakeholders across that broad slice that I had indicated, really around healthcare costs and affordability, the overall trust in our organization, how we manage risk, customer service, and communications. We'll be compiling the responses to that survey in the next few months, and we'll bring the results back to you in June. Moving on to some outreach activities. Last week, Michael Cohen and I were able to visit with a group of executives from the Orange County Division of the Association of California Cities. They were here for their annual legislative day. This is a group that invites us every year, and we're really glad to have that opportunity with them. As the board has discussed, getting out to visit with our employers and our members is a high priority for me as well as the team. And then Michael and I were able to speak to them about our priorities throughout the next year. We also participated in a joint legislative information hearing hosted by the Assembly and Senate committees that oversee our pension, retirement, and labor issues. We were asked to address the opportunities and challenges ahead of Calpers. Our remarks were focused on the current health of the fund, our risk mitigation strategies that were put in place to manage drawdown risk in the markets, and our sustainable investment strategies, which would include our work on climate. I also addressed the work we're doing in our health program to provide high-quality plans, but also to align our efforts with other major purchasers. And then finally, I did introduce the committee to our diversity, equity, and inclusion framework. Before I close, I'll note some of our upcoming Calpers events. First up is the second annual Pathways for Women event. This will be held on August 23rd, once again in coordination with Women's Equality Day. We launched this event just for the first time last year to provide mentoring opportunities, for women or, frankly, men seeking opportunities in their own careers, getting some mentoring from some, keynote individuals we were able to access. So we don't have the speaker lineup yet. That's something that we are actively working on, but it will be, again, held on August 23rd at the Anaheim Hilton. And then we're also in the planning process for the 23rd Annual Educational Forum being held November 1st through November 3rd. That's also held in Anaheim, but at the Marriott in Southern California. After 2 years of virtual education forums, we're really looking forward to having an opportunity to interact in person. We'll have numerous educational sessions from our own teams, and we're planning to once again hold and host the exhibit hall. And I'll have more details on that event when registration opens. And so with that, President Taylor, that does conclude my remarks.